we have now finished our tour of the ranch, the farm where we grew up. We've also finished the last visit to the cemetery, and we're now congregated in the motel room, and we thought that we might give our last final thoughts on this visit to Vandalia individually.
Thank you very much. I do have a couple of thoughts, primary interest. The first is that the big point of the trip was to go and see the farm where we all were. You've seen pictures that we've taken on, you've seen or heard our comments, and although we were disappointed in some respects because of altered conditions, the famous barn that we talked about having been burned down, and the grove of trees and the trees planted around the house having become ragged and destroyed. But all in all, I am very satisfied with having gone there and seen the farm and having walked over it. I'm glad we went. And our visit, fortunately, was enhanced by the almost fortuitous or lucky encounter of two people that knew the farm as we had known it. One being a man, Ralph Chatham, who was Alan's age, and another one, the present owner, being Albert Tinker, who used to visit the farm when he was a little boy and who knew our grandfather. This was the high point of our trip. There's something else I'd like to say which I consider also a great high point, and that is the fellowship that we've enjoyed for the last 4 days. And certainly it was worth the trouble it took us to come all the way to Vandalia, to be together and to enjoy each other's company. We've done a lot of kidding around about it, and we've just had a thoroughly good time. Thank you.
Cut. I want to get something.
Well, I haven't cut it yet.
I want you, well...
What do you want to get?
I want to get that stone.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll cut now. And I think that that was a very good summary of what happened. While Alden is going to get that stone, I just thought I'd turn the camera on briefly. He's going out to get an artifact that he picked up from the ranch to show us in his presentation. The machine on, and I'm focused on Byron, and we're just about ready. Byron's concluded his presentation, and we're going to go over to Alden. Now, Alden looks distracted. I've only got his face in the picture. But now, Alden, what were your impressions of the trip in its entirety?
I think that we received a lot of support from local people here. Albert Tinker was very helpful, knowing and meeting and being with the young Chatham boy that we knew when he was about 8 years old. Now, of course, is Ralph Chatham, who lived up the street from grandfather, gave us a lot of support. We went out and we saw various people in the community, spoke to them. Many of them knew our grandfather and knew about some of our relatives. So we received a lot of knowledge from people in this place. And one person I don't want to forget, and never will, is Mildred Norris.
You already forgot.
I knew it so well, but
That's Mildred
I
Norris.
just automatically blocked on it.
He had
Now,
a block.
This stone was my
Yeah.
grandfather's.
What is that? Are you going to use that for a tombstone?
No, but it's an idea. This stone was used by grandfather to sharpen his scythe and some of his other tools that he used in farming. And it was a wheel that he could sit on, and you'll notice that he ground it off in this particular fashion. And it was, he would sharpen up his scythe and his other implements that he used, like corn knives and so forth. that he used around the farm there. And I don't know just how old this stone is. Maybe there might be a way I could find out. But right now, I do know that it was in use and had been used for a good many years before 1932, because it was well worn at that time. Now, when the farm was sold, the old stone wheel went with it. And it is now in my possession, and I think maybe, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm going to give it a place of prominence. Possibly a stick sticking up in the middle of it with a bird's nest or an ornament on the top of it. But I will give it a place of prominence, and and every time I see it, I will remember the many good things that my grandfather did for me, and my step grandmother. As far as I am concerned, the trip was a tremendous success. Everyone was treated us well, and the friendliness, the camaraderie, was enhanced by the trip, I'm sure.
And how did you feel that your brothers treated you all right too?
Well, I've always wanted them to treat me a little bit better than what they did.
Okay, I don't think there's very...
We are now looking at Alden, who has just completed his remarks. He has been joined at his left hand by our brother Alan, who has been giving some thought of what he might say concerning his conclusions. Here is Alan.
I can't hardly add anything to what both of you said. However, I think that the very fact that we are here in Vandalia, the three of us, is quite a tribute to a fine old gentleman, our grandfather. The impression that he left on 3 14-year-old boys was indelible and really magnificent. And I think that if we get any message from this trip, it should be that we have that potential to do the same thing in the future. And I think that that is that we were treated so well by our grandfather and by our step-grandmother, that really is the message that I would carry away from it. I think that there's not much question but what the trip brought the three brothers much closer together, and that in itself is a fantastic achievement, especially for the three brothers. Now, I do think that we need to bring this to a conclusion, and I think this should be the final review of this